Hello, everyone. This is the ABCs of dumping dairy. My name is Sarah Yasha'Allah. I'm a certified food for life instructor and also a certified holistic nutritionist. I'm the owner of Mind's Own Meals, where I help people transition to a plant-based diet. Tonight, I'm going to share with you the ABCs of dumping dairy. So we're going to talk a little bit about the alternatives to dairy products. We're going to talk about the benefits of ditching dairy. And we're also going to talk about some of the consequences we see of consuming dairy. So let's dive right in. But wait, before we do, I want you to take a look at my screen where I'm sharing already some of the alternatives that we're going to talk about a little bit later on today. So you can see in the picture, we have alternatives that are going to supplement for nutrition, the calcium that some people fear they may not get enough of without dairy. But then also we have some ingredients that we're going to use to help us replace things like milk and cheese. So when you think about supplementing for calcium, think of green leafy vegetables. So kale, collards, broccoli, Brussels sprouts, those types of green veggies. And then also you can think of beans, nuts and seeds, soybeans, tofu, soy milk, and those types of things. So we'll come back to some of the alternatives at the end of this presentation. But next, I want to share with you some information I discovered as I was perusing the CDC website. I wanted to know, what are the top 10 leading causes of death in the African American community? And so I wasn't surprised to see what I saw on the list. But what's most alarming is the majority of the top 10 causes of death can be linked to diet and nutrition. So that means we're facing lifestyle diseases, and many people are losing their lives to things that we can prevent. If you take a look at the graphic, you'll notice on the left-hand side, African American males, and on the right-hand side, African American females. And the top two for both is heart disease and cancer. And this is also the case for for all Americans. If you look at the top 10 diseases that take lives, heart disease and cancer are number one. And so why is that? What are we doing and what can we do to avoid it? So today we're going to talk about how dairy can play a role in this, but most importantly, we're going to talk about how a whole food plant-based diet can help us change these statistics that we see in front of us. So dairy products can contribute to disease. There's more research now that indicates this concern. The saturated fat in dairy, predominantly in cheese and whole milk, those types of things, we notice that it raises cholesterol. And cholesterol is one of those risk factors that lead to heart disease, which was the number one leading cause of death. Secondly, we also know that insulin-like growth factor in dairy products stimulates the growth of cancer cells. And we've seen the connection between dairy and breast cancer, ovarian cancer, as well as prostate cancer. And last, we also have evidence that points to protein in milk being linked to inflammation, allergies, and asthma. So these are just some of the situations that people might face consuming a diet that's high in not only dairy, but also meat products. I'd like to move on now to some of the benefits of dumping dairy, and not just dumping dairy and replacing it with some of the different cheese alternatives or milk alternatives on the market, but actually dumping dairy and choosing whole food plant-based alternatives. We'll see some healthy side effects. So let's look at some of those healthy side effects that can improve our quality of life. So some people may lose weight, they may reduce inflammation and pain in the body. They may even be able to eliminate allergies and asthma. I know personally, I've had people say that milk has helped them reduce the amount of mucus that they're expelling, and that in turn indicates some changes in their reactions as far as allergies and asthma. And then also improve digestion. Many of us know people who are lactose intolerant, and they may choose to still eat milk, or I'm sorry, eat products that contain milk. But if those people were to decide to cut those out, they could experience better digestion. Another good side effect is healthy skin. So we're talking clearer, smoother skin just from omitting some of those high fat dairy products. And then also, and last but not least, reducing the risk of cancer. I spoke very briefly earlier about the connection between dairy and certain cancers. When we include more plant-based foods in our diet, we also increase the amount of fiber. And fiber helps rid our body of those excess hormones that can contribute to cancer as well. So we've talked about some of the consequences, and we talked about some of the benefits of dumping dairy and just a little about alternatives. But I want to share with you what are some easy alternatives that we can make at home. Of course, now you wouldn't have any problems going into almost any grocery store and finding dairy alternatives like yogurt, different cheeses, ice creams, and so on. But today, I want to share with you 3 quick and simple recipes that you can create and that you can modify to your taste or your family's taste. And these are whole food dishes. So they don't have any preservatives, limited sugar, and you're in control what is going into your body. So just hold tight and we're going to go ahead and do some cooking. All right, so we're back and we're going to start off with our non-dairy yogurt. And this one is going to be soy-based. Some people experiment with almond milk and coconut milk. I've had the most experience with this, and so this is what I'm going to share with you. When you're choosing your milk, your soy milk, be sure to look for soy milk that consists of only organic soybeans and water. Okay, some of the other additives kind of interfere with the consistency of the yogurt developing into something creamy like we used to. And so we only need soy milk and probiotics. Okay, and this is a PB8 probiotic. It has 14 billion active cultures. And usually for every 2 cups, I use 1 capsule. My containers today, which you'll want to start with some containers that have been sanitized. So you're going to go with something glass, because I'm also going to be using my Instant Pot tonight to help ferment the yogurt. So all you need to do, and I'm just going to show you just one example here. Let's put this to the side. You're going to just fill your jar up with milk and give this a little shake. And like I said, this holds about 2 cups. And leave a little room. I'm not going to fill this all the way up. I'm going to leave a little bit of room. I have made a little mess here, but I'll leave a little bit of room because what I'm going to do next is add my probiotic. So when you remove the capsule, you want to actually open the capsule up and pour the probiotic into your milk. And just sprinkle it in on top. Let's see. Capsule comes apart very easily, and you're just going to sprinkle the probiotic in. So usually when you buy yogurt in a store, you're going to see a whole lot of different ingredients. You're going to see sugars, you're going to see some thickeners, but we're just going to use the soy milk and probiotics. Give it a shake. Sometimes I let it settle for a minute and I'll come back and shake it up a little bit more later. But just for the sake of this demo today, I'm going to just show you what I do next. So if you have an Instant Pot, you can put it in your Instant Pot. And usually you'll want to use your yogurt function, and you can set it from anywhere from 10 hours to 15. A good sweet spot has been 12 hours for me. If you like something a little bit more tangy, you can go with 15 hours. And if you want some yogurt that's not quite as tangy, you want to go with about 10. If you don't have an Instant Pot, there are two other ways that you can consider. I do my research to find out a little bit more, but some people recommend using your oven and not actually turning the oven on, but just turning on the light in the oven and leaving your yogurt in overnight. Another suggestion could be to prepare your yogurt. You can actually prepare it right inside of this container. So for every 2 cups, you'll add 1 capsule, and then you could leave this on the counter for about 3 days. I've tried that, that works well, but the Instant Pot works overnight, works faster, and so you have yogurt a little sooner. I have some yogurt that I prepared earlier that I'm going to show you. And so keep in mind, this is homemade. It doesn't have any thickeners in it, so it won't be quite as thick as what you might see in the stores. And so one thing you can do is you can add chia seeds, or you could add a little flax meal, and that'll help thicken it up. You can also drain it, or strain it rather, so that you're removing more of the water from the yogurt, and then you'll have something that's a little bit more solid. But this was actually pourable. I'm just going to pour a little bit in here. And it will be a little lumpy, so you got to stir it up to get it nice and creamy. And I like to add a little granola to my yogurt. So I'm just going to add a little granola on top here and add a few berries. So, and you could have this nice treat for breakfast, for a snack, or even dessert. One of my favorite things though with this yogurt is you can add it to your overnight oats, which makes it incredibly creamy. And once I learned that, it was such a game changer for me. Another thing you could do is you could add it to your smoothies. You could use it to replace sour cream for like tacos or taco salad. So you have quite a few options. And also, if you do want to add a little sweetener, you could always add a little maple syrup or agave nectar, just a little bit when you're getting ready to eat it. And you can do that to taste. So that was our quick yogurt. I'm going to move these things out the way, and we're going to bounce over to our nacho cheese. So I'm using like all my appliances that I have in the kitchen, but don't be discouraged. You don't need to have a bunch of appliances to do this. A good blender is a good place to start. It's versatile. You can do a lot with it. The next thing I'm going to make is our nacho cheese sauce. I'm going to go through the ingredients very quickly. We're going to start with some cashews. These have been soaked. These were soaked for about an hour in hot water. Start off with some boiling water. You can soak them overnight if you have time. If not, I just put them in hot water. And if you have a high-powered blender, you won't have any problems getting it smooth. So we're going to pour those in. The next thing that I'm going to add is going to be half of a red pepper. And I also have a little lemon juice. I'm going to add about a tablespoon. You can add a clove of garlic. You may want to chop it up a little bit. And we'll add in our seasoning. So what gives this cashew cheese a nice and cheesy taste is nutritional yeast. Nutritional yeast is another alternative that you could use to replace dairy when you want something that's cheesy. So you could sprinkle it on baked potato, you can sprinkle it on popcorn, anything that you would normally, even pizza, so anything you would have normally sprinkled cheese. We're going to use this to just give our cashew nacho sauce a little life. So normally I would add about a 1/4 cup. I'm just going to use this to measure about a 1/4 cup. And we're going to put that in. And just a couple more ingredients. So we have some turmeric. And you only need a little of this, so just about 1/8 of a teaspoon. And then lastly, I'm going to add salt. And I'm going to start with a 1/4 teaspoon, but this is something that you can modify and adjust to your taste using a little more or less. All right, so we're going to be adding water because we're making a sauce. We want to just start off with a couple tablespoons of water, and we're going to blend this as much as we can. And then we'll decide if we need to add a little more water. Sometimes it takes about a couple tablespoons to a quarter cup of water. We'll add a splash. You don't want to add too much because then you'll have cashews spin all over the place and you won't ever get the consistency you want. So just add a little at a time. If you're using a regular blender, you may just need to blend a little longer. I'm going to turn this up and give it a good whirl so we can get on to our next dish. So you'll want to scrape down the sides a couple times to make sure you got all those cashews in there. And the great thing about the Vitamix is you'll get nice, warm nacho cheese if you blend it long enough. So I'm going to blend it a little longer just until we can get a little nacho cheese going here. So if you blend it long enough, you start to see a little steam come out the top, and you can tell here that this is nice and creamy. It's also starting to warm up, I can tell by the base. And so I'm gonna add it. Now this is awesome on your tacos, burritos. I'm just gonna add a little to some tortilla chips today. And as I mentioned before, once you make it a couple times, you can start to adjust it to what you like, as far as maybe you want less pepper, or maybe you want more garlic. The pepper gives it a sweetness, also gives it some color. Alrighty. So we have our nacho cheese sauce here over some chips. I'm just going to taste my cheese a little bit. You could add some jalapenos to this to make it even more authentic in flavor. All right, and so my last dish is nice cream. I'm sure you've seen it all over the internet. It's fairly popular. And we're gonna do a caramel pecan ice cream. So I bought frozen bananas because I didn't have time to freeze any. But you can use about 3 to 4 frozen bananas. You want to slice them before you freeze them. And we're going to, from this bag, I'm probably going to use a cup or so. And you can use a blender for this. Processor, food processor does yield a different texture, more like soft serve. With your blender, you really have to monitor it to make sure you don't end up with a smoothie. Okay, so remember I said about 3 to 4 bananas, frozen and sliced. And what I'm gonna do first, and this does take a couple minutes to get to a creamy consistency. I mean, it could take up to 5 minutes. So we'll see how far we get along with this. I'm gonna go ahead and start blending. And it could be a bumpy ride. So you wanna make sure that your food processor is not close to the edge of the counter. You wanna hold on to the base, hold on to the lid just to keep it safe. And let's give this a whirl too. So as it continues to blend, you'll start to notice it starting to stick together and get creamy. What I'm gonna add now that I've broken down the bananas is it's a little less than a quarter cup of dates. These are really soft dates, but if yours aren't soft, you'll want to let them soak in water. I want them to stay a little chunky for that caramel effect. And then I'm gonna pour them in now as I'm getting close to the part where my nice cream is gonna be creamy. So, and if this process starts to get a little messy or longer and you want to kind of speed it up, you can add a splash of milk just to get things moving a little faster. I'm gonna see how far we get with this before I do that. So this is getting nice and creamy. I should have chopped my dates a little bit more before I got this far along. So let's see if we can get those down. So if you want your dates to be a little bit smaller, you can chop them a little bit or you can add them as soon as you add your bananas. I wanted mine to be a little chunky, so I waited to add them. And now I'm going to show you this creamy goodness out of here. So you can see that this is the consistency of soft serve ice cream. And I am going to top this with some pecans. And now we have our caramel pecan ice cream. So I hope you enjoy our recipes tonight and that you'll try them yourself. We started off with just a few simple ingredients, whole food ingredients, and we ended up, I think, with some pretty tasty dishes here. So everything from ice cream to yogurt to nacho cheese. The options are endless. Just remember, so you can ditch the dairy and you get all of those wonderful benefits. You add in the whole food, plant-based options, and you're going to win. So thank you for tuning in with me today. My name again is Soraya Sha'ala from Minds on Meals. Thank you and enjoy.